Hello, race fans, and welcome to a very special broadcast presented by V8's Online. And we'll let you know it's brought to you by our good friends at JD. I'm here with you. It's a special edition, and I'm happy to bring it to you for the third time, and this time it's going to be the best time. It's a special week of AllStar Racing, so we'll be off this week as the normal NASCAR iRacing Series Top Split will resume next week for the Coca-Cola 600. We do have a special broadcast that is presented by Kane and myself. We decided since we were off that we would have a special little talk show just to kind of catch everybody up on the season. Maybe you haven't had a chance to watch thus far and you'd like to catch up on what's happened. And then we'll talk a little bit about what we got coming to the second half of our season. And it's just going to be an amazing finish. What we've seen so far, Kane, has just been unbelievable. And not only with Kane, we have a very special guest with us here today, our great friend Martin Carroll, a part of the V8's America series, and we're happy to have him on the show. Kane, are you there, buddy?
I am here. I think everything's working well now. We have been plagued with a little bit of technical issues so far today, but I think they're clear, and third time's a charm. But yeah, like we were saying, the season has been fantastic up to this point. We've seen a lot of good hard racing, and these guys have really been showing why they're in the top split in the NIS and why they are the ones that are running the Pro Series in the fall.
Yeah, it's really neat, and you guys please excuse my lackluster introduction, but we've just had some technical difficulties, so I figured throwing a little crazy intro out there would just kind of show this is kind of more of a fun, laid-back atmosphere than our typical broadcast will be. But you're right, Kane, it's been a wonderful, just thinking back to the beginning when we looked at the actual Daytona shootout where we saw our very first race with these guys on the track, loaded with cautions, and just a crazy race to the end. We got to see Casey Tucker win that race, and just the way that the league and the racing has changed since that race, it has been more, or let's say this, it's been above and beyond my wildest expectations. I never thought it was going to be this good of a race. We have not seen not one person dominate. It's been a handful of guys alternating. We've had different winners almost every week, and it's something that's really hard to find in a league like this. The talent throughout all 32 cars that we see on the track, Kane, is just unbelievable. Each week it just gets better and better, and I just can't wait to see how this thing is going to pan out.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It's been, well, just like you said, each week we've seen different drivers rise to the top, and it's just been an exciting little series. You know, sometimes there's a few more wrecks than what we really think we'd need to see, but we find out by watching other races throughout the week that it's not just in this Road to Pro series. All the drivers throughout all the races throughout the week have the same issues with the same track. So it's not necessarily just the drivers that we're watching here. Everybody seems to be having these same issues. Some of these tracks are pretty tough and they're kind of hard to drive on, but we have seen a lot of cautions, especially last week at Kansas. Kansas was especially hard on the cautions, but it was that way all the way through all the splits. So I just seen that they were talking about that in the forums today about all the cautions and things like that, and how Kansas was such a bad track for cautions, and thought I'd bring that up. It really was a pretty bad track last week.
Yeah, it was, but it also was a great race. I mean, we want to congratulate Michael Conti for becoming victorious in that race. That race actually, speaking of cautions, it actually ended under caution, and it was a nice final 2 laps for Michael Conti as he got right across the finish line in the lead under the yellow checkered.
When it was green, that race was excellent. It provided some of the best racing that we've seen all year, but it was just tough to stay green.
Yeah, and it was, but you know, cautions is part of racing. We've actually been cautionless in a race. When we go back to Darlington just a few short weeks ago, Kane, don't forget that we saw a crazy race with that one when we saw 180 some laps caution free, and I never in my wildest dreams would have imagined if we had a one caution free race this year it would be at Darlington. The lady in black how did that happen? I mean, just how does that happen in one of the toughest tracks these guys race in all year long, and to come out with no cautions, that was something else, and a great race as well. But I tell you one thing that I'm really glad we got to see at Kansas was with all the cautions, we still got to see that round of green flag stops. And that makes a humongous difference in these races, Kane. Everybody can pit under yellow. It's those that are good at getting in and out of the box under green. It is very difficult. And those that do it very well. In this top split, strategy plays such a big part in racing. And I love that. I love that aspect of it. And it's more than just a fast setup. It takes a lot of things to get out there each week and be consistently good. Now, we have some guys that are good at certain types of tracks, but it's certain guys that are good no matter if we're heading to Bristol or Talladega or heading out to one of the majority mile and a half tracks. It doesn't matter. These guys do it week in and week out with lots and little preparation. We've seen both when we talk to the guys. And one of the things we want to talk about, since we're on the show, let's go ahead and start on the first subject here. Let's just talk about uh, how things have. We've already been talking a little bit about how things have gone, and let's talk about what we expect to see in this 600-mile race at Charlotte next week, Kane.
Oh yeah, the Charlotte race is one I'm really looking forward to. It's going to be a long race, but man, it's going to be such a fantastic race. I think these guys, with it being such a long race, I think they're really going to be paying attention and being careful of the cars around them. I don't think they want to be sitting 600 miles, 400 laps in caution, so I think they're going to be extra careful. And I think we're going to see a lot of good racing in, in the Charlotte 400.
I believe so as well. And it's going to be just unbelievable. You talk about strategy, Kane. You're going to have to almost do like the V8 guys do over and almost build your, almost like a road course racer would do, build your pit strategy backwards, I would say. Start with it backwards, take your fuel mileage, and kind of count backwards. Now, you're obviously that's going to change with cautions and the unexpected, but really and truly, this race is so long. These guys, I mean, we obviously, we look at long races. These guys have raced in long races. That's not the issue. They've done the Daytona 500. We did that. Our first official race of the year came where we saw Adam Gilliland take the checkered flag. And that was actually a wonderful race to kick off the season. The guys have no problem with uh, with the distance, but the thing that gets me, Kane, is we're not going to be on a super speedway. We're going to be on Charlotte Motor Speedway, a mile and a half track that has a lot of character for a mile and a half, and it's an extremely fast track. A lot of trouble can be found at Charlotte if you're not careful. The turn four has gotten so many cars. That exit is very easy to get loose coming out of turn four, especially with the new tire model for some reason. I did a little testing myself there, Kane, and it can get a little hairy there if you're not careful. I don't think we'll see a lot of side-by-side racing in the first half of this race, but then again, you never know. These guys have surprised us in the past. Now, Marty, I want to introduce Marty to everybody. Let's get Marty in here. Marty, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here. G'day, everyone.
Awesome. It's so good to have you on the show, Marty. Now, I know mainly you're a V8 supercar driver, and you do a wonderful job over in the V8's Americas series. We are going to talk a little bit about that later in the show. But for now, I know that you do have a newfound love for oval racing. And so I would like for you to voice your opinion. I know that you've watched some of the broadcasts and seen some of these guys that are in the road to pro. We actually have some friends of ours that are trying to get up there and be right beside these guys. And it's really fun to watch. What are you expecting to see as a viewer from the Coca-Cola race?
Oh, as a spectator, I just the level of competition for those guys in the road to pro is just far and beyond than what I ever expected. So I'm not expecting the competition to get any worse. It's only going to get stronger and stronger. And as a team, like we've got our oval division now, and so we've got a few guys that are looking to get to that level. We've got an affiliation with Black Hole Motorsports, and I know they got a couple guys that are right on the verge of getting in there, Joel Putty and stuff. looking to go pro and getting into the road to pro. And so the level of competition is just going to be crazy. And yeah, the guys are good and experienced and are used to long races, but the level of concentration around Charlotte for 600 miles, it's going to be extraordinary. I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it is, and that's the thing that I was saying with it's not a super speedway. Let's be honest. If you're on Daytona or Talladega now, if you're on Daytona, and like that's what I say, the guys have raced the Daytona 500, and they will race the 500 miles that they'll race. I think in the fall Talladega race, they usually do that one full length as well. But this this is not a super speedway. Let's be honest. When we're on a 2 mile or 2.5 mile, 2.5 mile racetrack, these guys can run flat out the entire way. They may have to have a little drag on the brake while they're running if they're in a tight draft. But other than that, it's kind of relaxing. You can actually get yourself in a little relaxing state. Follow the guy in front of you if you're pushing. If you're following, if you're getting pushed, it's even easier. As long as you're not in a heavy pack, you're pretty. It's pretty unstressful. You just have to kind of just remain calm and kind of enjoy the ride. Not going to be the case at Charlotte next week. We're talking about a track where you have to focus 100% of the time there. Very, very tight speeds around that mile and a half. Also, another thing that is it's going to be when you have 32 cars on there. Uh, as long a race as it is, you're going to be having lap traffic everywhere. Nobody's going to quite be safe to say, quote unquote, safe on that track. They're going to have to really, really be focused. And that's going to be the hardest part, I think, is for them to hold their mental focus that long.
Yeah, definitely, and I think their spotters are going to have to be really on the ball, like you say, when you're coming around lap traffic, and because there's, like Kane was alluding to earlier, they're going to be very situational awareness about, having long green flag runs because they're not going to be wanting to waste time under cautions, and so, you got to be aware if you're getting lapped or if you're lapping traffic, getting up the inside and making sure people around you know where you are on the racetrack.
That's a good point. It's going to be interesting to see how things play out. Maybe we see, like Marty just mentioned, maybe we do see the guys that have their own spotters and or crew chiefs with them. Some of your bigger teams have those versus some of the smaller guys who are solo drivers and crew chiefs, everything, and the spotters. They're all and above. Will that play a part? That'll be a good thing to watch. And speaking of that, we saw last week, we saw Michael Conti, no stranger to the NASCAR iRacing Series, win Kansas, and he did it in a wonderful fashion, had an extremely fast car. And as we went to Kansas, guys, I was looking and just taking a little peek here, see if I can find it here. As we headed into Kansas last week, of course, now I won't be able to find it. I had the points from where we were going into Kansas. Now I don't know if I'll be able to find it.
I should have those somewhere. Let me see if I can find them and bring them up on the screen.
I had them sitting right here, and they have disappeared. No worries. Here's what we'll do.
So dog chewed your homework again.
They'll do that sometimes. I'm telling you what, they really will. Here it is. I'm not far from it now. I just got to do the old, anytime you'd like to find some of this information, a lot of times, guys, if you're listening, of course, just go to V8's Online or Facebook. Sometimes Kane will post results there. Also, a good place to check is on our website. Sometimes on our broadcast, we always post. Here it is. Okay, here we are going into Kansas. Now, obviously, the points have changed a little bit since Kansas, but going into Kansas, this is how our top 10 looks in the point standings, fellas. Jordy Lopez Jr. in first place, and he leads. He leads the points, and that's just an amazing job for him.
Yeah, he only led by just 4 points. It was crazy going in there.
Yeah, it's unbelievably awesome. Patrick Crabtree right behind him. Patrick, fantastic job in that Raptor Ford Fusion. Good job by Patrick. How about this? Third place, Stephen Esney. This guy right here. is really surprised me. He is just one of these guys I think that can sneak up there. He's in third in the points, so really technically he's not sneaking anymore. It's no secret he's up there. He's just a consistent driver. Now he may not win a race all year. I think we might see him. As he has a win, just not on our broadcast. But yeah, but I think that we'll catch him winning a race before this season's over on our Wednesday night show. The big show is what I like to think of it as, the big race. Benjamin Burmeister, fourth place. Here's another guy, Kane. No, he's a guy that we don't get to see a whole lot of early in the year. But I tell you what, the past few races, I've been seeing that skull and crossbones on that hood in neon green, and he's been getting up, cracking into the top 10, and that's what you got to do, and it shows right here in his point standings. He also has one win on the year. Tyler Hudson has 4 wins on the year and sits in the 5th position. And here's what's awesome. The top 4, Kane and Marty, how about this? The top 4 are just Class A drivers. They're not pros yet. These are road to pro drivers trying to get in. If they keep it up, they're a lock to get in the road to pro. They'll be pro next season. Now, we see our top 5 here. We have Jordy Lopez Jr., Patrick Crabtree, Stephen Esney, Benjamin Burmeister, and Tyler Hudson. It follows back in the next 5, which is the 6th position in points, was Justin Bolton. And the Best Western Chevy Kane has had an up and down year. He's had a great year, but it seems that as of late he's had a couple little tiny incidences that have hurt him in big spots. I recall, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Justin Bolton had a great race going, and the next thing you know, we couldn't even figure out he had lost his entire front end, splitter and all, and his car, it just unfortunately, he just kept falling back and ended up having a rough finish. But other than that, he's had some really great races, and according to the point standing, he only has 1 win, and that was actually one of the wins, I believe, was on one of our races, Kane. I just can't remember what week it was.
I know
But
that he's been up there right at the pointy end several times. I know that in our Daytona shootout, he had, finished in one of the closest finishes we've ever seen with Casey Tucker.
boy, that was, man, that I wish I had a picture to throw up. I have one somewhere because I remember taking a still photo of that. It was just so close.
Yeah, let me throw that up. I've got that.
Oh, that would be great, buddy. I'm telling you what, guys, if you didn't get a chance to watch this, we have the video in our archives on YouTube. Just go to YouTube, type in V8s online. And I don't even remember. It's got to be in there somewhere. It's going to be one of the first NASCAR iRacing Series races we did. It was just a V8s online exclusive race that we actually hosted and promoted, and it turned out to be just phenomenal way to kick off the season. And that finish was unbelievable. 2 thousandths of a second between first and second. 2 thousandths of a second. But anyways, moving down the list, though, this 7th place driver is a driver that I think the second half of the season will really see continue his way up, and that is Billy Price. Billy Price, who has been in the Outlaw Chevy, recently in the Worth Chevy, he has just continued to amaze me. Billy Price is another driver trying to get that pro license. And boy, I really think this guy deserves it. He's in driver out of Carolina, and just really knows his racing. And each week, Billy just seems to get better and better. You always find him in the top 10 at some point during every race. Whether I've seen Billy Price, me and you have both seen him start in near the back of the pack and work his way up to the front like it's no problem. We've also seen Billy have some issues with some incidents, but not always his fault. So just getting caught in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that will improve throughout, I think, the second half of the season. As we move on to 8th place, though, we have the New England driver Patrick Baldwin in the 8th place. He's another road to pro driver. And tell you what, out of the entire top 10 guys, we only have 2 pro drivers, 1 pro WC, and that's Tyler Hudson and Justin Bolton. The rest are Class A drivers. They want to get those prestigious black stripes, and it's just amazing to see this guy moving down to 8th. I'm at 9th place. We have Malik Ray. Here's a young driver, another Carolina Club driver. He had a win this year, a big win at that too. That race that he won, Kane, he just dominated. You remember it was a few weeks ago, several weeks ago, and I can't remember where Malik won at. I want to say it was one of the mile and a half. Something tells me it was Vegas, but I don't know for sure. I can't remember. Moving on down to 10th, rounding out our top 10 is Greg McKinney, a driver we don't talk enough about. Greg is another Carolina Club driver, has one win on the year, and he actually has really improved as of late now. Greg has like I said, everybody in the top 10, other than Tyler Hudson and Justin Bolton, are Class A Road to Pro guys. These guys are very, very eligible to get that pro license, and I think that every name we just mentioned in this top 10, Kane, that is trying to get those black stripes will do so. I think that the talent is there, and I just think all they have to do is keep up what they're doing, and it's a lock for them.
Yeah, I think so too. We've seen the cream rise to the top in this series, and they were talking about that on the forum too. And I agree that the cream has really risen to the top of these guys that we see doing well each week. I really and honestly feel that these are the best of the series, and these are the best people to send forward into the pro series. Now, there was some big talk on the format and things like that, and all that stuff may need changed, but I would still say that so far that the top 20 is the top 20 people that we should be considering sending to the Pro Series to compete eh, to in the Pro Series in the fall.
Absolutely, these guys deserve it, man. I'm telling you. And and here's the next guy. I don't want to discount the next. We'll go ahead and talk about the top 20 then that are the pro license, or that are trying to get the pro license. Pardon me. Uh, Here's the thing. And a big apology goes out to the number 11 driver. This entire season up until Kansas, I was calling Timu Ivan, and I was calling him Timu Living, and I apologize, Timu, from Finland, Finland club driver. Timu Ivanen is in 11th place, and Timu still trying to get that win on the season, and I think it's only a matter of time, and he'll have that win. He's actually a driver I think we could see sneak into 600 and win. He's just that good. Timu is a phenomenal driver. I've seen him over on uh, the iRacing World Grand Prix over in the Formula One series in the top guys, and did a really good job over there. So here's a guy right here that is not only an oval. Has a talent for oval driving. He's also a great road course driver. And you get over in the Formula One side of things, that is uh, really difficult. A lot of guys that you see in road have a really hard time coming over to oval and vice versa. And so it's really great when you see somebody that's multi-talented like that. That's really fun to see. So Timu, keep at it. Once again, apologize on the name issue. We have it fixed as soon as we were notified. And
Yeah, he wasn't the only one. We're at 11 weeks in, and there's a couple drivers we were screwing their names up on, and
yeah,
we got them all figured out now, I think.
I think if not, of course, just let us know. We'll get it fixed for you right away. And it happens. A lot of drivers we see between the two series that we do. And but moving on down to now here is what I'm talking about. Let's look at those real quick. Thank you very much, Kane. You're a good guy. I knew you was good for something here.
Yeah, I said that to you. I didn't say it to the broadcast. So I'll go ahead and say it to everybody else. I have brought the current points up on the screen for everybody to see. JD was going over the pre-Kansas points. Now these here are the as of right now points.
And that is amazing. And here I'll do the top 10 real quick. How about a swap at the top, guys? Patrick Crabtree overtakes Jordy Lopez Jr. Now, one thing is I'm sure we'll see these two change positions back and forth a couple times between the end of the season and now. That is neat, though. Everybody else pretty much in the same spot. Moving down, Tyler Hudson has dropped some now. He did not make the race. He has 9 races, 9 weeks of racing, and so that is why you see him drop to 10th. Now, looking at 12th is a new driver that wasn't on there in the last one. That's Charlie Foster. Now, Kane, you talked about Charlie. What was last week about how getting him on the scene and talking about how you thought he was going to be a really good driver. Here he is, already in 12th place, and I mean, he has an 11-week started, but he wasn't in our top split races every week, I don't think, and now he is. So this guy obviously improving as we go, and he's already in 12th in the points. That's phenomenal. Good job, Charlie. Looking down into 13th, it's Brandon Coppinger from he's in the Mid South club, and Brandon Coppinger has no wins on the season yet, but he has 3 top fives, and we'll continue to watch Brandon. I think it's a guy that continues to improve as well, and we'll see him keep moving up. Down to 14th now, Alan Bowes from Ohio, and Alan has 2 wins on the season, Kane, and 6 top fives, and that's very impressive. He also has a pole, and that's really, really good stuff
Yeah,
for
Alan's
Alan
one
Bowes.
that we haven't seen in the broadcast split yet. I don't think his name
I've
don't sound familiar. He might be a second split racer that's made his way up
he
in there.
Yeah, he's been in about 2 races. I remember seeing him twice. Um, I think he's right on that cusp of first and second split as far as I rating goes, and I think that's why um, we haven't seen him very much. But obviously, Allen has had a phenomenal season as with the 2 wins and 6 top fives. That's very impressive, and be fun to watch him, especially if he continues to pop up in that top split anymore throughout the second half of the season. And here's another driver we see all the time, Kane. He's in the top split, and he honestly, I know I've said a couple guys have improved, and they have, but this guy, nobody has improved quite like this next guy. 15th place, Thomas Davis from the Mid-South Club. Thomas Davis hasn't got that win yet, but he has 6 top fives, and all Thomas Davis's race are in the top split, and that or that we have seen on Wednesday night in the Open Series. He is in the top split. And Thomas Davis, when we first started, had a hard time even cracking up into the top 20 in occasions, Kane. And now it seems like he's almost a fix in the top 10 each week in his AMP Chevrolet. And I tell you what, it is really cool seeing him do very well. He's always got that awesome gold AMP energy. Chevy out there doing a good job. So Thomas Davis, keep your eye on that guy. I got a feeling we'll be hearing a lot more of him in the second half. And Patrick Baldwin, we talked about him before we changed the points. Down in 16th points here, you see that. He's from New England, has 2 wins on the year, 6 top fives as well. That's awesome for Patrick. 17th, Ryan Lowe. Now here's a guy from the Virginias, and Ryan Lowe still looking for that first win of the season. He has 3 top fives. We've seen Ryan Lowe have a couple really good races as well, Kane. He's doing good there in 17th. I think he has a chance to move up as well. Here it is, our Daytona Shootout winner, Casey Tucker, Fastenal Fusion driver from Georgia. From look at there, a neighbor of mine. I live in Georgia as well. And good job for Casey. He has a win on the season and 2 top fives. And Casey Tucker had a phenomenal second place finish at Kansas last week, just falling to Michael Conti. I thought Casey actually was going to win that race, but the great finish. And guys, if you haven't had a chance to go back and watch the Kansas race, I really challenge you to go watch it. It's a really great watch. You just got to go watch it. We did mention there's a lot of cautions. That's a cool thing about our broadcast, though. Once they're already posted, you can kind of just fast forward through the cautions if you want. And when they were racing, it was just phenomenal. And Casey Tucker and Michael Conti put on a good show there at the end of that race. I'd go check it out if I were you. Dwayne Vincent is 19th at the Mid-South Club. He doesn't have a top 5 or a win yet, but with 28 starts, he shows the heart, Kane. And I tell you what, 28 starts, the only other 2 drivers with more starts than him for the guys atop of him is Brandon Coppinger with 31 starts, and with 29, Matt Spangler. So showing a lot of heart there. Dwayne Vincent racing a lot, trying to get that first win. And when you have that kind of drive, you're just bound for glory. And I think that Dwayne will be moving up as well. Next, rounding out our top 20 is Robin Williams. We've seen Robin. He's in the Virginia's club. And Robin has 2 top 5s, Kane. And this guy is another one. I really think that we'll see a lot more from Robin, as we've seen him in the past few races in the top split as well. He's been a household name as of late. Now, that's our top 20. In the top 20, only 2 of those top 20 are pro drivers. How about that, Kane?
Yeah, that's true. That means that the next two will be the final ones that go through to the road to pro, and so there are two slots there that are taken up by the drivers that are already pro or WC drivers. So Chad Lawton and Vinny Sansone fall right on that cusp, and Vinny Sansone is a road course driver that's turned oval as well, and it's good to see him making it up in there. I think he'll start to climb through the ranks as well as the weeks go by.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on Vinny. Vinny has, how about this, 3 wins, 3 wins. That's pretty impressive. Now you mentioned Chad Lawton right on the cusp, but Chad is a pro WC driver, so the next 2 in line, if the season ended today,
Oh yeah, I
uh,
didn't see that. My bad.
that's all right though. Vinny Sansone and Ryan Manning would be the drivers, according to our points here, that would get those pro license. How about that, man?
Yeah,
Really
I did
neat.
know Chad Lawton was a WC driver. I don't know why that didn't click, but it didn't. It's a
No
good catch.
worries. No worries. Well, that guys, I know that took a minute to get through that, but I tell you what, man, the points are something you just gotta keep an eye on when you're watching these things. It's too exciting not to. We watch these guys each and every week, and Marty, I know you're still with us, buddy. You can attest to, as a driver, tell us what it's like to be in a point chase or a point hunt and you're in about mid-season, and you're one of these guys that's right on the cusp of getting into that top 20. What kind of advice do you have for those guys that they can just try to stay focused and try to crack into that top 20?
Well, yeah, it's just other than the top three, from position 4 to position 25, there's less than a race win in points for that the whole field. Like that's 23, 22 drivers all vying, for one race win within points. It's just ridiculous the level of
Wow.
competition up here. So those guys just got to keep working hard, and I know you know I find you create a lot of your own luck in the Oval Series, especially around these high quality steerers. So they've got to continue working hard and turn up each and every week. And you look at some of the drivers there; they're not only just turning up for the big event, they're also refining their racecraft, with 3, 4 other races during the week.
That's a very good point, Marty. And like you said, it's just so close. It's so hard to figure out at this point, and that's what makes it so fun for you guys to come out each week and check out the races. This Coca-Cola 600 is going to be phenomenal. But moving on past that, guys, we got to get here and we got to move along. But before we do, I want you to take a look at this list. Now, Marty, I know you haven't had a chance to watch every race. Kane, I know that you obviously have broadcasting with me. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to look at this list of names right here, and I want you to try to predict who will be that number 1 driver at the end of the season. Now, this is hard to do, and you can't pick a pro driver out of our road to pro guys. Who will get this top spot? I'll let Kane go first.
Well, that is a tough pick, but you can't go wrong with Jordy Lopez Jr. because he's had such a great season. He's really been at the pointy end each and every week. But then you got Steve Esney with his consistency. So, well, Jordy's obviously consistent as well. But I wanna I wanna go with, I don't know, Patrick Crabtree's a good one too. Those between those three guys and Justin Bolton down there in 5th place, he could be up in the top at any time. That's like an impossible question, but I'm going to go with Justin Bolton.
Well, Justin Bolton's a pro driver, so
Oh, I didn't
that's
see that again.
that's a
I'm not
good
looking
pro
over there.
choice.
Okay. Well, all right, Justin. Thanks for being a pro driver. That really.
Hey, Justin, at least you guys see right there, man. Justin, he was all about you right there, and that that ought to be worth something right there.
Yeah, you'd think I'd see that big black square over there, but yeah. I haven't really watched any of the DWC races this year, and that's probably my biggest problem. While I'm not recognizing these guys, um, I guess I'll go with Steve Esney because he's definitely a great choice.
In the Scrabble Mobile, Steven Esney from New England Club. And that's a great choice, Kane. Third in the overall points right now, and that is just right where you want to be. And I think that that's a fantastic choice. Now, I'm going to pick somebody, and I know who you think I'm going to pick. And I'm not. I'm not going to pick Jordy Lopez Jr. I am a big Jordy fan, and it's no secret out there. I love a lot of these guys to death, man. They're just great drivers, good guys to look up to as far as racing.
Yeah,
But I'm
I'm the
going to
same
pick.
way. I'm like every one of these guys. I feel like I'm their biggest fan. I can just go through the list and be like, oh man, I really like that guy. No, wait, I like that guy too, and it ends up being like the whole list of guys.
That's how it goes, and that's a good thing. That's what you want. But I tell you, my pick, and it's a Ford Fusion driver, the Raptor Ford Fusion, Patrick Crabtree. There's a reason he's at the top right now, Kane. I think this guy will continue to do well. He is consistent, and I like his persistent is just persistence that I see in his driving. He is just kind of that hidden gem, and I think that it's no surprise with him sitting in first. But I really
Well,
like.
I like
I,
Patrick too, but I think the reason he's sitting at the top is because Greg McKinney came up from the bottom and took Jordy Lopez out of the Kansas race.
that could be. That's a very good point.
But they did
Now,
have two other races, so that is unfair to claim because they had two other races that week, and so throughout all three races, Patrick Crabtree came out on top.
that's a very great point right there. And I may eat my words later on in the season. But now we must move on to our good friend Marty. I know that you haven't seen every race, buddy, but just by looking at what you've seen, give us somebody that you think out of these Class A drivers who you think could pull it off at the end.
Well, definitely Malik's always going to be there. His level of consistency is ridiculous, and I had a pleasure of meeting him with the SDC Invitational during week 13. But I'm a big fan of Billy Price. Just his level of consistency. Every broadcast that I've watched, he's always been there or thereabouts, running in the top 10. So I'm going to go with Billy out of California Club, and I think if he keeps that level of consistency up, and a few of the guys at the top there run out of a bit of luck, he'll be right there at the end.
Yeah, Billy Price, a fantastic choice. Carolina there, a great choice there, Marty. I think you've done well, and that's actually a really good choice. Billy has just shown that he is one of the best. Take away all the Class A, the Pro, take away that. You just look at these guys as drivers. He's one of the best on the track every week, and he's really fun to watch. That's a
He's been getting better too. So each and every week his results are getting better, and
boy. You're not kidding. He
he's getting
really
better
is.
at avoiding the messes, and that's where the drivers are really starting to shine through is avoiding the wrecks and stuff that's been happening here lately. If you're able to avoid the messes, get up there to the top, and then you're able to really race. Some of those guys start off in the back and just keep getting caught up in messes, and then they don't really even get a chance to hardly race. But he's done really well at getting through all that and getting up to the front to where he can race for the top
All right.
10.
Yeah,
Now it's
and with the NIS being such a long season, like with 30 odd plus rounds, like you're really only a third of the way through. So it's about building that momentum towards that last 10 races. The last third of the season.
Yeah, the Open Series is only 26 races because they have to cut it short for the Pro Series to start. But we're about at the halfway point. A couple more races.
Isn't that crazy? I didn't I only found out about that a couple weeks ago. I thought that it was the entire NASCAR Sprint Cup series, and it is Oh, sorry, their hiccup, man, got me. Took my words right out of my mouth. But yeah, it is. It's a shorter season than we expect. And for those of you curious about the broadcast, we've already told a lot of the drivers. Once the Open Series ends, we will be covering the top fixed series from that point forward, and we will finish out the entire season. Now, guys, it is time quickly. I want us to go through one more time. Now, if you're a driver sitting out of the top 10, who can crack up there and win this thing sitting out of the top 10 at the halfway point? I'll let Marty go first this time.
Outside the top 10, I'm a big Charlie fan. Like, the same as you, JD. Like, I've been watching him, like, and with Billy, just the consistency just to be able to, finish, 50% of their races inside the top 10, top five finishes. That's the real key to me when I'm looking as a spectator and looking at the consistency of a driver and their ability, like Kane says, to avoid wrecks even if they're starting in the back, and that allows them to build momentum and build confidence.
Very nice, Charlie Foster.
See, the thing I like about Charlie is I didn't hardly even know Charlie until I started following Dylan Schmidt's post in the forums about he's got this thread where he pretends to be an active driver in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, and he figures out how much the pay would be for his position that he finished, and how much it costs to get the car to the track, how much the repairs cost, the towing the car, the how much the pit crew costs, and the tires that you got to lease every week. He figures all that up into this thread and makes it like it's a realistic thing. And it Charlie Foster came on board after the first couple of weeks and became part of the little story there, the storyline that he had going on. And so that's where I became uh, aware of Charlie Foster. And at that point, I didn't know that Charlie would end up being a top split driver and that he would end up being in the broadcast series. But I just kept an eye on the storyline, and to get the money to get his car, he had to borrow a big bunch of money from a mob boss, and named Tony, and so they finally got Tony paid off and got the car. They got some sponsors for the car and things like that. It's pretty good little storyline thing that they got going each week. They add a little bit more to the story, and it's been a pretty good thread to read. So
Yeah, it's very entertaining. I've seen that myself too, Kane. It's very good to follow.
So, if you guys haven't checked that out, man, go check that out. Kane, tell them where they can find it.
it's in the NIS section of the iRacing forums, and I believe the thread title is, oh crap, I can't think of it. Something about a real NASCAR season or something. I'll have to look that one up so that I can get the right title for you.
Well, while he's looking, I'll go ahead and throw out my pick out of this top. I'm going to move a little bit further down the list. Charlie Foster, a fantastic choice there, Marty, and we'll definitely be keeping an eye on Charlie through the remainder of our season. I'm going to go with the guy that started off winning, and that's going to be Casey Kerr, the Fastenal Ford Fusion. I think this guy has just really grown leaps and bounds. I know that he started off with a win, but that's at a super speedway. Most guys say that's a crapshoot. It is, yes and no. You have to know what you're doing. You have to get lucky. You have to put yourself in the right position. And the way I look at it, that's at any track. Put yourself in the right spot at the right time. You need to be up at the front at the right time at that particular track to make the move that's going to be put you in the best scenario to win the race. And that's what Casey does. He is so good at that. And that's why I think as he grows as a driver, he will continue to do that. We saw him with just an unbelievable second place finish, finishing only behind Michael Conti, who is an alien driver who's extremely fast. This guy's unbelievable. Casey Tucker sitting in 18th place. You better watch out for that Fastenal Ford Fusion, guys. It will definitely be in that top 10. I wouldn't be surprised if he could walk away up in the top 5.
Yeah, I agree. Casey's really done a great job, and especially the last couple of weeks, he's really been getting better and better each week. And last week, he was smoking fast. So Casey Tucker's definitely a good choice. I do want to say that the thread title that we were talking about is simulating a NASCAR season, iRacing edition, and Charlie's posts on there each week about his race and how much money he would have earned if it were a real NASCAR race. Apparently, if it were a real NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, he would be sitting fourth in points, right behind Kyle Busch and right ahead of Dale Earnhardt Jr.
How awesome is that, man?
So
How awesome is that?
they keep track of all the points and what versus the Sprint Cup Series and stuff like that. It's kind of puts it in the iRacing series, the verse reality. It's a good read.
Yeah, it sounds excellent. And Kane, I know that you're talking about this great thing just to postpone that pick, buddy. But we want to know who is that driver out of the top 10 that can win this series.
Yeah, I'm like the kid you take to the store and you're like, pick out a candy bar, hurry up. And I just can't never pick out a candy bar. It ends up taking 10 minutes, and finally I don't get a candy bar because it took too long.
Just take the dang candy bar and go.
Alright, well, I'm not going to pick Chad Lawton because I do see the black bar. And just to save us all some time, I'm
I
going to
was
pick
waiting
him.
for it. I was like, 1 out of 24 or 25 drivers, Kane's going to pick Chad Lawton. You just watch.
I don't know, the Wahoo guy, Brandon Coppinger's good. He's been doing great. Thomas
Boy, that Wahoo
Davis is on
team's
his
something
way
special.
up. Ryan Lowe he's been consistent, but he really hasn't popped through yet and really started doing really well. But I think he's going to. He's had some bad luck. I think if he can get through the bad luck, I think he's really going to start doing good. So I want to go with Ryan Lowe and say that he's going to get around all that bad luck. He's really going to start having some wreck avoidance, and the season's really going to come around for him, and he's going to really start climbing up the field.
Well, there you have it, guys. Ryan Lowe, a fantastic pick right there by Kane Craft. And we've seen Ryan do some fantastic racing. We've seen him get up into that top 5. He's just a good driver all the way around, and I think that's a fantastic pick there. So the 3 choices out of us guys, that out of the top 10, that's Charlie Foster, Casey Tucker, and Ryan Lowe. There's plenty of guys. If you haven't had a chance to check out the NASCAR iRacing Series Top Split this season, guys, go to v8sonline.com right now. If you're not already there watching this video, go to YouTube, type in V8 Online. Every single race from this season is available in its full length to watch. And I just, guys, if you don't have enough time to sit there and watch the whole shows, I understand they're long. Just kind of flip through of them. Get a look at what's going on. If you're a sim racer to begin with, especially if you're a NASCAR fan and you enjoy oval racing, watch these guys. Look at how talented they are. Get on there and just watch what you're shooting for as a sim racer. You want to get up there and compete with these fellas and try to become a pro driver in sim racing. These are the best in the world, and that's what I love about it. These guys are so good at what they do. They just continue to get better. It's extremely fun to watch. We've had a magical season so far, and I think the best is yet to come. And with us coming up on the hour mark in our show here, this is V8's Online, the All-Star Week edition special show here. And I would like to move on to our Friday night broadcast show just for a little bit. And let's talk about the V8's America series. We're only 2 weeks in. And just to talk a little bit about it, we started off our first week at Watkins Glen. Now, even before we start this season, we have to catch folks up if you're listening to the show, and maybe you haven't checked out the V8's America season. The past seasons have been phenomenal. Both times have been won by Power Bond Dayco driver Marlon McMullen. He is the 2-time defending champ in this series. And wow, he is just so talented, and back-to-back champions. He's trying for a three-peat, and then we start off with Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen, a phenomenal race. Watkins Glen, the checkered flag goes to driver Sean Kelly, and just a phenomenal job by him. Second place goes to defending champ Marlon McMullen. Then we move on to week 2 just to catch up. We head to Sonoma, and out in Sonoma, California, we have another phenomenal performance by Marlon McMullen. He's able to get second again, just behind winner Jared Philsill. Jared completely dominated Sonoma. It was a fun race to watch, and it's been a really enjoyable series. Kane, Uh, I'm excited of what we got to come in this series, Marty. Now we have to talk to you as a driver, buddy.
Yeah, well, the series has had a tremendous start to season two, and obviously with Marlon, still hungry for a third championship. But it's awesome having Sean Kelly coming in and being more predominant in the series. Jared Fuelsell, obviously Chad Chastain's there as well, and he's been runner up both seasons to Marlon. So I'm sure I know he's hungry. He's come across and racing with us STC Motorsport boys now, and so I know he's hungry to secure a title. But yeah, John Emerson, he's there, and the level of the field, the competition is just elevated again this season, and looking forward to Road Atlanta this week.
Yeah, I'm Road Atlanta. You know, it's one of my favorites, hometown track there, and it always provides great racing every single time we go there. And I can't wait to see what happens. One of the things I'd like to talk about with this series, though, is one of the things that I love is the growth of this series, Marty. And one of the things that I'm liking to see is this series when we first started broadcasting it 2 seasons ago. Man, I can't. Sorry, been 2 seasons. Wow. But yeah, 2 seasons ago, we noticed from then to now, the growth has been tremendous. We have some really big names in this series now, and the competition at the top is really close. And I think we'll continue to see it grow. Our brothers that normally do the Monday night V8 Supercar series, unable to broadcast this season for now. And I tell you what, I think it's helped bring in some more talent and definitely some more eyes as guys watching the V8's America series as an alternative.
Yeah, definitely the viewership is up. We've seen the viewer numbers climb drastically over this last week, and the participation's up too. I think these sponsors, they like to see their their name on these cars in a broadcast, and with the Australian broadcast being down for now, a lot of these drivers are having to come over to our broadcast to get their sponsors some airtime, as well
And
as
I think
they enjoy racing in the broadcasted series as well.
And also, I think these guys really enjoy the Americas series. I know that the guys that normally drive in the Americas series, I think I speak, Marty. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that the guys that are normally driving the Americas series are happy to see some of these drivers coming over to race in the V8 Super America series because I mean, I don't want people to think of the Americas series as a downgrade to the Australian series. I think that obviously the biggest name, the top guys are in the Australian Monday night series, but I'd like to think of the America series as just an alternative, just exactly what it is. It's
Just a
in
different
America.
series.
Right, just a different series, and because the talent over here is great. I mean, you have guys that are in the America Series going over sometimes to that Australian split, and they can still finish third, fourth, right up there close to them. So it's not quite as big as a gap as people think, and that's what's so great. And I love seeing the guys come over and compete with these Americans drivers. One that really comes to mind, other than the defending champ, is Chad Chastain. This guy can go over there. I've seen it. I mean, you've seen it, Kane. He can go over there and race with those guys, and it's fun to watch a guy that from America, nonetheless, the series. He's from America and races very well. I love to see the growth of the V8 supercar interest here in the United States.
Yeah, with them coming over here in real life and racing last year, they won't be here this season, but they will be back next season. But with them making the trip over here to race the V8 supercars in real life over here, I think it really increases the interest in America for the V8 supercars. And I think we'll continue to see the series grow, as well as getting the new car modeled, which is coming in the next few months. We'll see the Holden show up on the iRacing service. I think that's going to help having a Holden versus Ford rivalry available for the drivers. I think it's going to be fantastic.
Boy, that's gonna be big. I mean, Kane, you talk about it. We see how great it is in the NASCAR iRacing series. And when we just got the new Toyota, we have a three-way manufacturer battle. It's huge. It's starting to become a big part of what it's a big part of the sport. And we know this. It's always been a huge part of NASCAR, and it helps to be in the iRacing series. Now, the same can be said, and you know what? We have a great thing on the show right now. We have a true Australian driver right here with us. Tell us, how big is the manufacturer battle in the V8 supercars, Marty?
Well, whatever you think the manufacturer's battle is in NASCAR, it is tenfold out here, here down under.
Oh, it's
The
crazy.
This
I've
transfer
seen it.
Ford rivalry.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable. I've seen people just completely dump a driver, one of their favorite drivers, because he switches from a Ford to a Holden.
Is
It's
that a
like, no, I
Shane
hate
Van
him now.
Gisbergen punt right?
Yeah, definitely.
Well, there was
Oh,
more going on with the Shane Van Gisbergen thing than just switching from Ford to Chevy. But yeah, he did lose fans just simply because he went from the Ford to the Chevy. But he also lost
Hold.
fans for other reasons than that. But he's gained them. Any fans he's lost, he's gained back from. He's gained new Holden fans, and then he's gained other fans just because he's as talented as he is. But yeah, those Australians and their manufacturer battles there, especially the Ford guys, it seems like they're worse. They will not even hardly look at a Chevy or a Holden, rather. Sorry.
Well, the big thing is it is on the way. It looks, and once we get that in this V8's America series, I think it's really going to add some excitement. One of my favorites about the V8's America series and any of the V8's V8 Supercar series on the iRacing service is the strong team commitments. There's some of the best team racing in iRacing happens in the V8 Supercar series. We see it even in the Americas with the great teams that we have, from the Kamikaze race team to the SDC Motorsports, the Power Bond Racing guys, ANZ Motor. Do I have to keep going? That's just in the Americas. I mean, don't let's. There's more. Uh, and it's so great to see every week these teams working so hard together, and it makes for some real exciting battles. Not only do we have a championship, we also have a team championship, and that's really fun. We don't really focus on it as much as we should in the broadcast, and I think that's something we may need to work on. But
I don't think they're
it
keeping track of the team points anymore.
but I think that we should, and that's what maybe they don't, but maybe we should somehow, and because it is such an awesome part to me, and I'd like to see it, and that's something that's the great thing about a talk show, something you can talk about. Should that be something that they do keep track of? I mean, what's your opinion?
No, I always think that the team aspect it draws something a little extra for the drivers to work on and stuff like that. But ultimately, the biggest thing that counts is that single driver championship, and that's the one that everybody's looking at. But the team championships, they're kind of neat to follow.
Marty,
well,
what's your view on it?
oh yeah, I was just saying, drivers don't win, drivers championships without having a team behind them. You know, so you rarely see a privateer, yeah, in this day and age, competing at the front week in week out. So a lot of the top drivers they have a good team behind them, and it's all the R&D they do. You know, as a team they're putting in 30 to 40 hours a week before a race starts, just to get that optimal setup for their number one driver to go out there and compete at the front. So a lot of the time I know I get a lot of reward out of, seeing our top guys, Chad and Nigel, competing at the front if I'm not necessarily on the pace that week. Because, as a team, we put in the time and effort to make sure they're at the front. So that's where the reward as the team aspect comes out. And whether there's team points or not, uh, I don't think we don't really focus on that at the moment. We've had team like team victories and stuff before in leagues and stuff like that where they monitor that sort of thing, and it like you say, it does give that extra incentive, to make sure you're getting, two or three drivers to each race meeting, so it keeps that level of commitment up within the team. So I would like to see it come on board, but one step at a time. We'll look to get the new car out and build this rivalry up, and then we can look at team championships and stuff like that.
Absolutely, man. And honestly, my opinion on it is I think it's important. I think the team. I think first of all, I don't want to take before that. I don't want to take anything away from the privateers because I think that it's wonderful if you are a privateer and you're out there by yourself. I think it's great that that's what you want to do, and there should be nothing to take away from that. Now, with that being said, I think that driver team championships are very important. Not everybody is able to race for number one all the time, but if they can get out there and help their team, that adds extra excitement. It doesn't take yet at the same time it doesn't take away from individual championship attention at all. It just adds to it, and that's why I think it's important. It's just another level of excitement to add to this wonderful sport, and that's what I think is so great about team championships. Working hard, like you said, 30, 40, 50 hours a week when you have three, four, five guys, five heads in it versus one. And that's huge, and it shows. You guys at SDC Motorsports, fantastic job. Love being a part of that. It's wonderful, and I'm just a broadcaster 99% of the time.
Because
And
could you imagine coming down to the last race and your number one driver's got to finish in the top three, and you've got to have a second driver finish in the top 10 to secure the team championship as well? That'd be awesome.
exactly, and that's why I think that we should actually bring that up in the V8's America's forums and just see what happens. I mean, we have the teams. Why not just count the points?
Yeah, it's just gay. All it would take is just somebody to volunteer to do it, and that's the thing about the V8's Supercars America series is everything's done on a volunteer basis. The guys that set everything up, that record the points, everybody just kind of chips in and does their little part, just like you and I going in there to broadcast the series. Is just we've seen how great the series was and thought, you know what, this series really needs broadcasted, so we got it figured out, we got them broadcast, and it's everything we do is we do it because we enjoy it and we want to do it for them.
Yeah, it's one thing that we don't lack as sim racers, and especially like being heavily involved in the V8 Supercar series and the America series, is that we don't lack passion. When something needs to be done, we someone puts their hand up and does it. So, and it doesn't matter which team they're from or who they drive for, and everyone does it for the greater good.
Yeah, and that's one thing that I love about the V8 Supercars America series is we always, after each race, we always allow the drivers to come, say thank you to their teams that have worked hard all week for them, and say thanks to their sponsors who are donating, whether it be time or web space or even money to their team. Give their sponsors thanks, and the great thing about the V8 Supercars America series is the drivers really enjoy that. They really show up and are very enthusiastic about coming onto the show and giving their thanks to their team and to anyone who makes it happen for them. And I that's one of my favorite parts of the show is the post race, getting to talk to the drivers and everything. And the V8 Supercars America series really makes that gratifying.
And that's a big thank you to you twos as well, because with your and JD's enthusiasm being there, turning up each week, it makes it enthusiastic for us to come and race, and we want to be interviewed afterwards. We want to be raced on the broadcast. And so a big thank you for you guys for turning up each and every week and donating your time to come and make it such a wonderful series of what it is and what it's grown to.
And that's awesome right there, man. I'm telling you, it's what I'm talking about when I say it's wonderful to see this series grow. Is we all feel a part of it, and we want to see it do wonders even after we're gone. One day we'd like to see what it is way down the road. I'll tell you what, though, guys, we're going to talk a little bit about progressing in the season. Obviously, each America's season is 12 weeks, and with that comes 10 more races on the docket for our remaining schedule. We head to Road Atlanta next week. Obviously, one of my favorite tracks, and the racing is always good. But here's the main question I want to ask us. and a good little topic to chat about. We have something really special in this series. We have a two-time defending champ back to back. Can he make it a third champion in a row?
You know,
Kane, I'll let you start on
that's a
that one.
good question because this season we're seeing uh, some some of the Australian drivers come over, like we mentioned before. The some of the aliens are even coming over to drive with us. So it's really putting our champion Marlon McMullen in a unique position because for the last 2 seasons he's been hearing that the America Series it's not the same as the Australian Series, and yeah, he won it, but it just don't have those fast guys that the Australian Series does. And it is true. We had our own, drivers that run the America Series, and all the seemed like most of the aliens did run in the Australian service. But now with them coming over here, and we seen last week with Marlin, he was right up there competing with those guys, and he ended up taking second place. So yeah, it seems like even though this is the America Series, it seems like it's more because he is the reigning champion. This is his home turf, and whenever they come onto his home turf, he's racing really well with them. He's just as fast, if not faster, as they are, and racing up there, and he ended up getting the second position. So yeah, great job to Marlon. He's really defending his title so far very well, even with the increased strength of field each week.
All right, then. What's the word? Can Marlon McMullen in one yes or no? What's your call, Kane?
Oh, I think
Can
he
he?
can. I think his commitment to the series is strong enough to where he'll be there each and every week. And we still get 4 drop weeks on this season or this series, so that makes it to where if he does miss a race or two or three, that he's still good to go and still able to compete in this series. So I think there's a very good chance that he could be a three-peat. But there is a couple other drivers to keep your eye on because there's yeah, both these seasons haven't been a cakewalk for him. It has went clear into the very last race of both the championships that he's won. It's taken going to that very last race, and he's had to win the race or finish ahead of second place person in order to
So,
secure the championship. So it's going to be a tough one, but I think he can do it. But I don't necessarily think that he will because we've got a couple other drivers that can come up there and take it as well.
Kane, you always leave on a cliffhanger. Uh, all right. So I'm gonna ask you one more time. Are you picking that he will or will he not win? Not.
Oh
I know.
goodness. Man, do I
We
want
want to hear.
Snickers or Milky Way
Yep.
or Kit Kat? Goodness sakes. Um, I think he can do it. I want to say that he can do it.
There you have it right there. Kane Crafts thanks to Marlon McMullen, three-time, three-peat. I like that pick, Kane. Let's see what Marty has to say about it.
Well, yeah, all the jibber jabber you could say about it not being as strong a series as the uh, the official Australian iRacing series was true to a degree. But in the last 2 seasons, the strength of fields just proved, and even from the original season, like he still had Chad Chastain chasing him all the way. Like and Tobias Zerny, they're top 10 series drivers from the main game. So that have been here each and every week. So Marlon, and his Powerbond team, with Tobias Zerny and Kurt Stenberg, they have improved it overall as a team, and Marlon as a driver, and like being out there on track, like I improve 6 tenths to a second, coming back to another track the following season, and then Marlon's still the half a second faster, so he's improving all the time, each and every week, and so I'd like to see him do it again, but as a serious competitor, I don't want to see it. I want to see, I want to see one of my teammates. I want to see Chad Chastain actually get the reward for all his hard work, and take the title this year. And obviously, Nigel Baines has been there or thereabouts, running in the top five. Um, late into last season and early into this season, but I know he has other commitments now outside of racing, so this season might be a bit up and down for him. Um, but in one word answer, JD, yes, he can.
So that's two saying that he will repeat. All right, well, y'all leave it to me, and I'm gonna tell you what. I love Marlon, and I think the guy is just phenomenal, and he's already shown that he's continuing that consistent path of second place, second place. He's going to get a win or three or four. We know. But you know what? I'm going to go against the grain. I'm going to say that he won't win that third championship. I think that the talent that is coming in here is too strong and diverse. And I think that we will see a new champion this season. The Chad Chastain is coming on really strong. He may not have had quite the start that he may have wanted, but we saw this with Marlon McMullen last season. Marlon got off to a very rough two-race start. He actually missed the second race, did horrible and wrecked out of the first race, and things didn't look well, and he turned on the jets. I think we're going to see that with Chad Chastain this year. I think you're going to see Chad with the championship at the end of this season, guys. That is my pick.
Yeah, that's a
So,
very good pick, and definitely with the series getting stronger with Jared Fieldstall coming over, John Emerson and Stuart Kelly and those boys being more of a regular each and every Friday night or Saturday lunchtime for us down under. The series has definitely grown in strength. So really, there's 5 or 6 guys that could win the championship this season.
I'm telling you what, it is going to be fun to see it all unwind. It has already started off to be great. Even in the on the show right now, Kane's got some great little highlight clips of the Sonoma race playing, and you can see right there as you're watching how close and great this racing is. These guys perform well each and every week, and I love it. And really looking forward to Friday at Road Atlanta. And it's going to be a really fun race, guys. Come on out every Friday night. The race starts at 10:15 Eastern time. Wherever you're at, that may be a little different. Depending on your time, but we always do Eastern time, and it's always a wonderful, wonderful time. So you definitely want to come out and check that out if you haven't had a chance. I know we talked the majority of the show about the NASCAR iRacing series because that's our normal broadcast tonight. And but the V8's America series is a true joy, and I love broadcasting it. It is so fun to be a part of, and really looking forward to seeing how this season unwinds and seeing if Marlon can get that third time. It's going to be fun, guys. Just because I said and picked that he won't do it doesn't mean that he won't. This guy's unbelievable. You both, that's two that said he will and one that says he won't, and it's going to be really fun to see if he can. On that, I think it's about time, guys. We're coming a little over the hour and 15-minute mark on the show. Is there any other great thing that you would like to add to the show before we close out?
I just want to put a big shout out to our team sponsor, the simpit.com. If you haven't seen Sean Cole's new show, definitely jump on YouTube or jump on the SDC Motorsports page and check it out. It's an awesome show that he's put together, and yeah, it's very informative with new gear and new updates and driving techniques, and it's beneficial for everyone.
Tell you what, I'm right on there with you. I'd like to thank Sean Cole as well from the Sim Pit for being a big part of Kane and myself, our shows. In the past, he's done two great interview sessions with us and really just been a great help to us. And we were really happy to have him on the show. Maybe soon we can be on his show. Who knows? But definitely want to thank him, and I really want to thank the loyal viewers that we have that come and watch us week in and week out. We really do appreciate you guys, and you guys just keep coming, and we'll, as long as y'all are watching, we'll be here. So y'all just keep doing what you're doing. Kane, anything else, buddy? Yeah, it's fun. I think what we're going to do as well, guys, I might as well go ahead and talk about this now, is on the V8's America's broadcast from now on, since we have such a wonderful turnout for post-race interviews, Kane and myself have been doing a little chatting about, and we're going to actually turn the post-race interview into a small little into a little talk show, a weekly recap show, just like this. We're going to interview all the drivers like we normally do, but it'll also be a little talk show about the V8 Americas each week, and it'll actually should be cut into two separate videos, so that'll be pretty neat. We look forward to doing that. We'll come up with a fancy name. It'll probably more than likely just be called the Get Dirty MX post-race show. But we look forward to doing that, and should be doing the first version of that this Friday night from Road Atlanta. So make sure you come out and check that out. And for everybody that's been a part of the NIS All-Star Week season recap show, we really thank you guys for coming out. So happy. Big shout out to my boy Jeff Gordon for winning out at Kansas. I'm proud of him. #1 in the points in the old real world racing, and
Hey,
look
another
forward to.
thing we should mention, this was, since we're talking about the V8 supercars, I know I've mentioned it a couple times on the broadcast, but I never went and grabbed a picture. We should mention Justin Ruggear's hot ride. Justin Ruggear's one of those drivers that we've seen
That's right.
that has went from the iRacing simulator to a real car, and Justin Ruggear's driving in the Kumo Tire Series. Uh,
Look at that.
and his first race was a couple weeks ago, and he took second place. So he's went from driving the sim to driving the V8 supercar, and yeah, it's a championship supercar that he's driving. He's driving one of Kelly's championship cars. Kelly won the 2006 championship series while driving this car. He That year he won the Sandown 500, and I believe he won the Bathurst with his brother co-driving. And yeah, so now Justin Ruggear's driving that car in the Kumo Tire Series, which is in the V8 Supercars. You've got your V8 Supercar Series, then you've got its feeder series, the Dunlop Series, which is in the NASCAR, it would be like the Nationwide Insurance Series.
Nationwide.
And then they've got the feeder series for that, which is the Kumo Tire Series, and that's what he's competing in. So hopefully before long we'll see him maybe driving in the Dunlop Series, or make his way up into the V8 Supercar Series. I know he's doing really, really well at it, and I'm always so proud whenever I see somebody go from iRacing to driving the real car and doing so well on it. I know that another V8 Supercar driver, Madison Down, done the same thing last year. He won a competition, the Race to Reality competition, where the winner got put in an Aussie racing car and went to, I believe it was Sydney, and got to drive the Aussie racing car there at Sydney. And Madison did a great job there. I think he finished ninth or so, but he also had lots of videos of his onboard footage and stuff. Really cool. So really proud of both those guys. We're going to see the same thing in the NASCAR iRacing series as well. One of the drivers there, Paul Kashiba, won the Peak Challenge, where he won a ticket to go compete in the Peak Challenge that's coming up, as well as Tyler Hudson, the Peak Series championship winner, will also be the last year's Peak Championship winner. Tyler Hudson will also be going and competing in that, so that's going to be really cool.
Awesome news right there, man. And Justin Ruggier, best of luck to you on your journeys, buddy. That's awesome, man. I love to see that too. Anytime we get to see somebody from the virtual world of sim racing get to go into the real world, and it just goes to show you how wonderful iRacing has done with the simulator. It really, really shows.
And with that
And
old version of the V8 Supercar, they worked with several of those V8's online pro drivers to make that thing as authentic as possible. They have changed the car since then, and we're getting ready to get a new one. But the one that we're driving now, it was very authentic to what Shane Van Gisbergen and Scotty McLaughlin, what they were driving in the real world series. They really worked with iRacing good to make sure that that car was very accurate.
man, that's incredible. Well, guys, thanks so much. Here we are. With has been a very successful NASCAR iRacing Series All-Star Week season recap show. And for all the guys that came and watched, we sure do appreciate it. We'll be back to our normal broadcast schedule next week, as we'll be live for the Coca-Cola 600, and cannot wait for that. It is going to be a really wild ride. Also, I want to thank my good friend from SDC Motorsports, Martin Carroll, for coming on the show. Thanks, buddy. We really enjoyed having you. I hope you enjoyed being here. We'll let you get back to your normal stuff, big guy. And thanks for coming and having a little fun with us on this show. Hopefully, we'll do some more like it in the future. For everybody, this is V8s Online, and we will be coming to you guys live for the V8s America series from Road America on Friday. Make sure you guys come out. Until then, I'm JD Smith from V8s Online. You guys have a great night.